Welcome to Future Boutique, live from Cannes Lions in Cannes, France. I am Jeffrey Colon of Microsoft, and we are here on the world-famous Croisette from our breezy terrace studios here at the JW Marriott. We are here the entire week bringing you all of the insights in action, and I'm joined by my co-host from LinkedIn, Steve Kearns. Steve, how are you?
I'm doing well, Jeff. Super excited to be here at Cannes Lions.
So this is your first time in Cannes, and what is exciting you so far? What does Cannes Lions mean to you?
Absolutely. So for those at home, to sort of contextualize what Cannes Lions is, it is one of the biggest celebrations of creativity, marketing and advertising professionals coming from all around the world to converge on the south of France for 5 days of essentially talking shop. So it's this incredible exchange of ideas and bringing the best and brightest minds in the industry together to talk about the things that matter.
I think some of the exciting things too, we see a lot on artificial intelligence, a lot on augmented reality, a lot of talk on diversity and inclusion. Speaking of AI, Microsoft is up for a Cannes Lion for its Seeing AI technology, which is really exciting. And there's a lot of sort of discussions and topics around AI. And we may as well kick off this particular episode by showing our viewers a little bit about what Seeing AI is all about. So take a look at this clip.
I'm Saqib Sheikh. I lost my sight when I was 7. And shortly after that, I went to a school for the blind. And that's where I was introduced to talking computers, and that really opened up a whole new world of opportunities. I joined Microsoft 10 years ago as a software engineer. I love making things which improve people's lives. And one of the things I've always dreamt of since I was at university was this idea of something that could tell you at any moment what's going on around you.
I think it's a man jumping in the air doing a trick on a skateboard.
I teamed up with like-minded engineers to make an app which lets you know who and what is around you. It's based on top of the Microsoft Intelligence APIs, which makes it so much easier to make this kind of thing. The app runs on smartphones, but also on the Pivot Head smart glasses. When you're talking to a bigger group, sometimes you can talk and there's no response, and you think, is everyone listening really well, or are they half asleep? And you never know.
I see two faces, 40-year-old man with a beard looking surprised, 20-year-old woman looking happy.
The app can describe the general age and gender of the people around me and what their emotions are, which is incredible. One of the things that's most useful about the app is the ability to read out text.
Hello, good afternoon. Here's your menu.
Great, thank you. I can use the app on my phone to take a picture of the menu, and it's going to guide me on how to take that correct photo.
Move camera to the bottom right and away from the document.
And then it'll recognize the text. Read me the headings.
I see appetizers, salads, paninis, pizzas, pastas.
Years ago, this was science fiction. I never thought it would be something that you could actually do, but artificial intelligence is improving at an ever faster rate, and I'm really excited to see where we can take this. As engineers, we're always standing on the shoulders of giants, building on top of what went before. And in this case, we've taken years of research from Microsoft Research to pull this off.
I think it's a young girl throwing an orange frisbee in the park.
For me, it's about taking that far-off dream and building it one step at a time. I think this is just the beginning.
We're live here at the 65th International Festival of Creativity, Cannes Lions, and today on Cannes Lions Daily, and they circulate this all around, Androids, AI, and the future of human creativity. That is the theme, and we're happy to have with us Doug Gould, who is, how would you describe yourself, Doug, here at Microsoft?
I am, the official title is a global black belt on the Intelligent Experiences team. I work on taking emerging technologies to market with our partners, is the high level pitch.
So what, you gave a talk today in the Palais on innovation. It was around AI. What are some of the things that you're trying to push to everyone here, since AI is such a big part of the theme at Cannes this year?
So at a really high level, and this is coming from a lot of the work that I do with agencies is a partner that I work with, we see this as being an incredible opportunity for creatives because they're going to be served in two ways by AI. AI, one, gives them a lot more touch points in order to get their creative out into the world. You're thinking of voice and bots and dynamic content. That's all going to need creative. So it provides an awesome opportunity for creatives to do work, which is what they love. And then the other piece of it is AI is going to help serve the creatives in the sense that providing, as a muse, it could give them inspiration. It can bring the teams together in a way that might not have happened organically, like with what we've done with Publicis and Marcel. So I think it's a really exciting time to be a creative because of AI versus maybe what the narrative has been, which is that AI could mean doom and gloom for the role of creative. I'm incredibly excited about the role of creative, and I'm not even a creative person.
I was just going to say that was the narrative for so many years, that creativity was just over, it was going to be automated, that the machines were going to take over. So basically, you're saying that creativity is going to thrive a lot more as a result of AI. What were some of the other points you brought up in your topic today, in your discussion to the festival?
So one way we look at it is around platform thinking, right? So essentially, if you're going to be creating an experience, that's not going to be living in a silo. No longer is in-store just the physical store. In-store is being tied to what somebody might be doing with a voice assistant at home and what their mobile app is doing and what their web presence looks like. So one big thing we wanted a lot of folks to walk away with was the idea of a platform and building a brand as a platform and all the technology components that are going to go into that. I think here at Microsoft we have a point of view around digital transformation, and how can that be articulated in marketing comes down to what's the platform that we have and how are we using technology to drive an amazing experience from that standpoint of a platform.
Seeing AI for good. Our viewers are probably familiar with seeing this video that we showed on the broadcast around Seeing AI, and it's up for a Cannes line. How do we tap more into that in terms of explaining how AI could be used in areas that we haven't even imagined yet?
So one thing that's been really inspiring as a Microsoft employee is that we look at opportunities to create more accessibility to technology as almost a skunkworks project. People actively seek that. So when we take something like the Seeing AI app, we bring that to everybody and we help them empathize with where artificial intelligence can solve a problem for them. They might not necessarily have that specific disability, but when people are designing using these AI technologies for folks who might have some sort of accessibility issue, it broadens up the creative spectrum to how the technologies can be applied. I think we're at a state where AI can do so many things that a lot of people are scratching their head trying to figure out what can it do for them. So when we take something like the Seeing AI app and we bring it to a CMO or someone at an agency, they see it and they go, oh my gosh, I totally know how I can use this to solve a brand problem. So it's an incredibly powerful tool to help people understand what AI can really do for them. And of course, it's fascinating to be able to see the problems that it solves for people who do have accessibility issues, who might have disabilities.
I love that intersectional thinking that you brought up. People could see something that deals with one area, but then they try to apply it to another. Now, someone who saw your talk today told me that you had a killer stat that everyone should know about. What is that killer stat in terms of how we should apply that?
Yeah, so the stat is over $1 trillion will be taken by firms that end up integrating AI within their strategy. I think it was by past 2020. And so what that means essentially is that that's the opportunity cost for companies and brands if they're not going to be doing things thinking about what AI can mean for their business. So that's money that is literally sitting there for the taking, and that if you're a brand or a company or client of Microsoft's that is sitting there thinking this is the future or this might not be something that we can directly do today, the tools are all there and people are already getting started. So I think it really creates that sense of urgency. And then for the creatives and the folks on the agency side that we work with, it shows them to really help build that point of view so they can go and translate this to their clients that might not necessarily feel that urgency. I think we're mutually aligned with the agencies to bring our bring our clients up and take them towards this digital future. So by working together with the agencies, we help them understand and capitalize on that over $1 trillion opportunity, because they want to be on the winning side of that versus on the losing side.
Doug Gould, thanks again for joining us here.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Doug Gould, what a bright mind. I'm still trying to figure out what a black belt at Microsoft is, but he's one of our smartest in the Azure Cloud and Enterprise group here at Microsoft. Now, Steve, there are some must-sees here at Cannes. You are a bright mind, the social lead at LinkedIn, and if anyone's going to have their pulse on what's happening, it's going to be you. What are some of those must-sees that we should be tracking?
Absolutely. So first of all, thank you for calling me a bright mind. That is a very nice compliment, potentially a little misguided, but call it a day. I would say there's really two ways to look at this. So the first is going to be from the brand side. And I'm, a brand marketer myself. I lead some of the charge for social media at LinkedIn. So it's really interesting for me and for a lot of marketers coming from that, the brand side, the ad tech side, to see how these brands, specifically social media brands, are showing up. So, we're sitting right next to Snapchat. Google has a big activation. You've got, your IBMs of the world, everyone's set up along the beach, and, they're basically putting their best foot forward, showcasing their products, showcasing their talent, and getting people to prioritize their product or their brand. So I'd say that's sort of number one for me. Number two is obviously, getting into the Palais and looking around. There's a whole lower floor, which I checked out today, which is all about, the projects and the submissions that are up for awards. They're up for, the Lion Awards, which are incredible. It's everything from, digital, VR, AR, you've got your traditional out of home, your print. And it's crazy to look at, an entire floor of a conference space that is taken up by a year's worth of, creative work. You really start to realize how powerful the minds are in the advertising industry. And a couple things I'm really focused on are these larger trends for brands and for agencies. So those are going to be things like thought leadership is huge this year. How do you stay top of mind among the fact that we live in such a crowded universe, so much goodness that you really can't miss. I think there's a ton of value in just really stepping back, getting all of the best minds in the advertising business in a room, talking to each other, because at the end of the day, we're going to solve a lot of problems this week.
Yeah, and trends are a big thing, and we'll definitely come back in future episodes to see what trends are pulsing with you here on Future Boutique. Now, with that said, we want to thank our friends at Microsoft for presenting Future Boutique, and here is a message from them.
Life takes us down many different paths, always moving, finding new adventures, or revisiting the past, a constant search for experiences that matter. Introducing the Bing Network. It's less about words and links, and more about meaning and intent. It's mobile, global, and local. It's personal, predictive, and in the moment. It powers millions of smart connections so you can put your brand where customers are, where relationships are built, where more sales are closed. The Bing Network delivers a new kind of intelligence inside the apps, sites, and devices people rely on every day. It connects platforms and partners. It's already powering 14 billion monthly searches around the world, engaging consumers on the world's most popular digital platforms. It lets your brand be there, part of the moments that matter most. Bing Network. Be there.
Continuing with our live coverage at Cannes Lions International Festival of Creativity, I'm joined by a woman who I've known for many, many years, only online, meeting for the first time in person, Lindsay Slaby, founder of Sunday Dinner. Now, Tell our audience what Sunday dinner is, because I love the concept. I think it's important for people to understand where you're going with this, and it's going to lead, I think, to a larger conversation about how it's hard to define things in this day and age of branding.
Sunday Dinner is essentially a brand consultancy. Sometimes we actually now play the role as an agency, which is new and interesting. And I think we're in a world where marketers are really trying to figure out what they need to be making, who they need to be making it with, and how they build their teams internally. And they're looking for people to come in and help orchestrate that process for them. There's a variety of questions that we get at all times, and it's all about finding the right solutions for them to think about, from end-to-end brand strategy as well as how they're building their teams. My thought, really, I've worked as a marketer and I've worked on agency side, and I just saw this gap in between of really those teams not communicating well, everyone just trying to win each other's business and not really sit down sometimes at the table, so to speak, with the right people to have an honest conversation about what we're trying to do and what we're trying to create. And I used to have these big dinners in Dumbo, and I still do, but they've kind of evolved, obviously, as the business has, of bringing together a lot of interesting people from different pieces and backgrounds to sort of crack a brief or crack an idea. That's become much more mainstream, and that's great. It's a new way of collaboration. We actually use that in all of our projects and processes, and I think it really brings also just a nice metaphor to the way of getting out of the boardroom, having a real conversation over a meal, and starting to think about problems and solutions together.
The analogy for Sunday dinner, you're bringing all these different people together, different walks of life. That leads me to ask the question which comes up every year here at Cannes. What's the next agency model? We hear this all the time. What's the next agency model? What's the next business model, et cetera? I mean, what is the next business model for agencies? Where do you think the agency model is going, and who is actually going to survive if you had to sort of put your futurist cap on in this sort of era of things that just really move fast and break lots of things?
Yeah, that is a really loaded question. If I had the full answer to that, I'd be a very, very well off right now. I don't know that there is. Agency is just a service, right? Like everyone who wants to name themselves something different, we're this company, we're this company, we're no longer an agency. To me, it's a service that you're providing. And I think it's about designing ways to really assess what the problem is and put a bespoke team together to crack that need for the client. So agencies as they exist today need to be more flexible, need to think about different forms of payment, FTE models versus deliverables, be more flexible in designing custom solutions. Individuals are doing a lot now, right? We're seeing a lot of brands move things in-house. They've been waiting for a long time for different types of agencies to kind of get it together, and the talent's not there anymore, so they're moving in-house, but they can't do everything in-house, and they still need outside perspective. So maybe they do need to tap into individuals or agencies in different ways where they're getting some of that top talent to ideate with them. And I think agencies just need to be more flexible in how they're thinking about creating those solutions. Everybody here is talking about it. They're on stage talking about it. I haven't seen a lot of agencies actually doing it. And so, I have a lot of clients who basically are like, who are those magical unicorns who can come sit with me, solve a solution, and have a broad enough understanding of everything end to end, from business to execution, that can help inject smart thinking with my team fast and quick to get us up to speed. Those people coupled with in-house is a lot of what I'm seeing happening right now. But I don't know if I have the future agency solution. I know it's super complex, but I do think things need to start changing. We need to start doing a lot more than saying, and I don't know that everybody really knows how to go about that.
Do you think that we're starting in the wrong place, in the sense that, you touched on finance models?
Yeah.
Do you think we have to rethink how the whole payment and billing system works, and that might lead to more agility? Because I know the dreaded thing is, how much time are you spending on this? How do you bill the client? Even how do you pay the client? Having to open up a purchase order, wait 70 days for that, when I could Venmo something to someone. Do we need to rethink maybe there?
Yeah, all of that needs to become more modern. Consultants actually work in a more modern way with top brands. I find it easier to get paid faster, my own terms, the way I want to work, than at an agency. It's 60 days, 90 days, we have to pay this way. And you can tell that they can make flexible terms. I also think that in some ways, and I'm putting this very simply, but the stress that we have on all the numbers and all the contracts and everything is because there's a lack of trust. When there's just a deliverable and you know that you have a great team that's your partner and they can execute that, the pricing and all of that kind of goes by the wayside a little bit. I think we all know that. But yes, I think the pricing situations, paying people faster, all of that needs a big overhaul.
So I have to go here because it's such a big theme and ties into this. How does software, how does artificial intelligence, how does that improve on any of this? Or should we not really look at that as necessarily the all-up solution? Is it more of like a hybrid model, as you said, of trust, people, and software that makes sort of all these changes that we want to happen at a faster rate?
I think the move to thinking software is going to solve all of this is a little bit too early, and I think we're ignoring the elephant in the room that is the trust issue. It's the talent issue. It's having the right people at the agency to be able to do the work for the client. Those are my biggest things I pay attention to. It's changing the type of resources that you have that I think will have the most impact, and getting that talent right now is very difficult, right? We could talk a lot about media as well, and I think performance. If I were to move into that world, the thing I'm seeing, the biggest challenge, and where tech starts to play, is you have, I always kind of visualize it as two circles coming together, brand and performance, which I know we'll get into. Those two tensions right now, right place, right time, right message, building brand are conflicting, and within those you have a lot of different resources, a lot of different technologies, a lot of different ways to deliver that, and it's hard to find people at the on the marketing team as well as agencies that can cross back and forth over those and help instruct. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. Now, brand and performance, as we look around behind us here on the Crossette.
Ad tech and creative agencies everywhere.
I mean, everywhere. And every year we hear a large opinion that branding is dead, that it's a waste of money, that you can't look at it from an ROI perspective. And yet here we are with everyone branding. I mean, what do you have to say about, people who basically think branding and mass impressions and lack of sort of audience targeting is sort of like a gone by the wayside?
Well, I've always worked, I value creativity a lot, and I also value performance and running things efficiently and effectively. I think the brand is one of the most important things we can hold on to at this point in time. We, again, can automate everything, can make it super, super amazing at how we're delivering, but at the end of the day, if we're not delivering something that creates an emotional connection, then we're not really doing great advertising, because that's what hooks people in. Emotion is that currency, and that's only going to come from investing in a great brand strategy.
Awesome. Lindsay Slaby, founder and CEO of Sunday Dinner, joining us here on Future Boutique.
Finally meeting.
Finally meeting in person. That was Lindsay Slaby, CEO and founder of Sunday Dinner, talking about a topic that is very relevant at Cannes, the emerging agency business model. Well, we've done it, Steve. Day one coverage here at Cannes Lions from our breezy terrace studio here at the JW Marriott. What are you looking forward to? Where are you headed to tonight?
Yeah, so this evening, I think for all of us, it's really just a night of networking. Going to a bunch of parties, meeting a bunch of people, and trying to learn a thing or two. So excited about that.
That's episode 1. Make sure you tune in for future episodes. And in the meanwhile, follow us on all the socials. At Bing Ads, at Microsoft on Twitter and Instagram, and of course, LinkedIn Marketing Solutions on all the different platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn.